So we arrived back to the boat today, and Peninsula Yacht Services have already fitted the arch, or temporarily fitted it, I think. So it's been worked through the deck, the holes are through the deck, the frame's on, and they're just busy tacking it all up so that it all fits together properly. It's looking great. Yeah, we've got seats to go back in, obviously, and then we've got to work out where the various aerials and things are going to go on it. But it's yeah, it looks pretty cool. Good support, looks pretty strong. We've got nice supports through the deck, and it looks pretty good. That's the TIG gear he's got to weld it up. Little TIG torch, 200 amp I think, AC/DC pulse, and then some argon over there, and his trolley, and everything else I think is electrical, gas supply, and then into the little TIG machine. Yes, it's looking pretty professional. Looking great, the back end. I think it fits in nicely. We'll have the panels on the back of there, and then we'll have the dinghy. Dinghy will come up into the gap at the back there, and yeah, hoping to have that finished in the next couple of weeks, so we can go away. Water around Plymouth today is looking very muddy and grubby looking. It must be all the rain that's been coming down. I think we've avoided the worst of the weather. Yeah, the other part of the construction is to put some solid bars in here, just to give strength to the guide wires on the back, and then also to provide a bit extra support for the solar arch and the dinghy support. And below decks, of course, there's all the wiring modifications to pull the power from there to the solar controllers. Well, we're finished in here with the freezer back in its box, wired up, all working, and all the wiring done. So I've got the two MPPTs, I've got the isolation switches, so that's MPPTs, isolation switches, both for port and starboard. I have trip fuses, these are trip fuses, 30 amps on the input from the panels. And then various cable runs, so the output is from this negative terminal, and the other one is down there. And then there's a grid that goes across here to protect everybody from it. I fitted a wire cover for this thing here, a wire cover for the MPPTs, just in case no fingers, if people put their hands in here, I guess they could touch a terminal automatically. So these are trip switches as well, so it's on, so basically it's on, so it ons up, so that switches the panel on. The smart solar controller controls the charge, puts the charge back out into these terminals down here and here, and then that goes off to the battery, still to connect the battery up. So it was a bit of a struggle getting this in here. Especially the cable management, which is all down under here and under the floors. So a bit of struggle. I've got the instrument cables through here and down on this floor, which you'll remember is where we've got all the sailboat GX and the rest of the equipment. And that instrument cabling runs out of here, down, and then through, and then it goes through a conduit just at the back of the freezer. So yeah, pretty pleased with that. Hopefully it all works as it should do, and there's no magic smoke comes out the wires. And as well as the power, of course, you've got all your instrument cabling to run down the various pipes. And just to keep everybody rolling along, we decided to take the boat out of the water as we had a problem with the propeller. Eventually it turned out to be, it was vibrating quite badly. It turned out one of the blades was actually slightly out. But in the meantime, we're also getting a bit of cleaning done on the hull as an added bonus. She's a bit grubby under the waterline over the winter. Yeah, they gave her a bit of a wash, but waterline's still pretty grubby up there. So this is the blades fully realigned and set up correctly. I'm quite glad we got that sorted in the end. We're all set to go back in the water this morning. It's a bit grey and windy, rainy, but it should be okay. Got all the work done on the prop and cleaned the boat up a little bit on the waterline, so we're all clear to go. Mooring line's ready. Dinghy's on deck, so it's out of the way. Fenders are all inboard, but they've got to get thrown over the side once the guys come. And the two straps that hold the boat are actually tied together with a piece of line. You can see it just down there to stop us slipping out over the weekend, so they'll have to come off as well. It's back in the berth. Had a wee struggle getting back on the berth because it's quite rolly today. Bit of wind, but I think we're attached reasonably well now, and all the springs and rubbery things we're all back on, so it stops us jerking about too much. Like a drunken sailor coming down the pontoons here. Always little jobs to do when the weather's inclement, so I got out my little ditty bag, which I got from our local sailmaker, Stitch It and Fix It, back in Forres, Scotland, and tidied up a frayed rope end with a whipping. One of the little jobs we did over the weekend while they weren't working on the arch, to put in place one of these fair leads. The original fair lead was in as part of the tow rail, and when we were in, I think it was Brighton or one of those marinas down there, we were in a bad storm there and basically bent the fair lead and damaged it and snapped half of it off. And I made up a thing to go in here to temporarily act as a fair lead, but it wasn't very good. So this is the permanent fixture, nice new chromy thing, through bolted, and we put a lot of glass fibre or epoxy underneath it to strengthen the deck in that area. The other side, we're going to have to do a similar fix here. You can see how the tow rail's all bent, and the actual fixing, it's a cast aluminium fixing, has taken too much load and bent itself out. I've had sort of temporary fair leads which fit into that jaw and go through this type of fair lead, but fair lead's not very good for that. It's not big enough, and it's certainly not strong enough. So that's what we've been doing. This is a much more difficult one because it's behind the box, the unit that fits the gas bottles in. So I've got to get around the back of that and up to wherever the bulkhead is to be able to get my hand in to basically get a nut on the back end of the fitting for the fair lead. So yeah, a bit more awkward, this one. The arch has reached a point where the dinghy needs to be trial fitted into position, so we'll blow it up and rig it up for the first time. Doesn't quite clear the outboard at the moment, but we have got space to come up a little bit more. So this block's double blocked at the moment, but again the little bridle here needs to be shorter, needs to be down into here somewhere, so that gives us another foot to come up. And if it's another foot up, it'll clear here quite comfortably. We'll put some wear pads in here as well, just to sort that. Kind of temporary setup at the moment. I don't have enough blocks at the moment. There's a triple up here, and then gubbins of blocks here to get the system to work similar. So again, a block, turning block, and the moment's just down under the handrail there. When we've got various soft shackles holding that all together. Once the davit gets up, there is actually a plate in the back of here, and you can see it in here, that this whole arm has to sit into. That stops it moving backwards and forwards this way. So the dinghy's coming on, it looks okay. Cleared the life raft, which was something of concern. That seems to be okay. I think once it's in position, we'll strap it in position, tie it while we're on passage, any short passages. If it's on long passages, we'll put it on deck, I think. It's not pulling the dinghy far enough up, so I have to shorten this a little bit, probably down to here somewhere, so that we can get the dinghy right tight up. So it's underneath here. This is what we're looking for. I tried different systems for this, but this is 6 parts plus a lead line as well, so 7 parts of line pulling on that. We've got some soft shackles in here, but we're going to put a ring or something in here to take that load. This feeds through a block. And at the moment it goes down, and we're just using the winch to lift it up. But I think we're going to bring it down here, and and through a turning block, maybe a jammer clamp cleat block, and then across to the winch if we needed it. But I think it should be okay just pulling it by hand once we've got everything correctly set up. The final fixings for the arch go in under the deck. And the day has finally arrived when we can fit the solar panels, which have been languishing in Peninsula Marine Engineering for a while. The boys are just lifting them into position, and then they screw to the framing on the top of the arch. The lads are over putting the first of the panels on. I've got to wire those over the weekend. Everything else is just about done, I think, now. This is the dinghy in its final position, still rigging to sort out. And these are the davits being into a load position where you would launch the dinghy from. Peninsula were great on this job, and this is Mary over chatting to the boys about another project she got them to do, which is some bars for the top of the cooker. We did have a bit of a downer with the dinghy. When we came to lift it one day, Mary pulled the handle and it came off in her hands. So we had to get that fixed before we could launch the boat. It had to go back a couple of times to get the handles fixed. Well, dinghy's back for the second time. All the handles have been re-glued, and we've tested that one by at least lifting the dinghy on the front. Hopefully that's the last time it needs to go back. Everything else on the dinghy's been fine, we've been happy with it, but handles were obviously a bit of bad manufacture somewhere.
So this is launch day for our new dinghy, well, it's now our car. We're about to name her Charlie 3, and to give the sea gods an offering of bubbly for all who sail in her, row in her, and that's our new transport.
This little project's all about swapping out the calorifier. This is the heat exchanger that we use for getting hot water on the boat. The old one looks like it's been in since the beginning of the boat. It looks like it's as old as the boat, and it was leaking. This fitting at the bottom here was leaking. No, sorry, this is the bottom actually. Was leaking from there, and the actual connection to the tank is loose, so I'd have to either have it re-brazed or something, but it was definitely leaking. So yes, then the problem is all the fittings that you need. So I've been cleaning fittings that I can swap to the other tank, and checking out what we actually require. The tank looks a bit like an immersion tank, just a bit smaller. This is a 40 litre. So there is an immersion element, so electric element in there. Then it has water in and water out for the engine, and then cold water in here and warm water comes out that end. And then there's a one-way non-return valve there, and this is the pressure relief valve. So you can basically drain the tank from that as well. So we've got to try and plumb it into this space over here. So lots of tools out at the moment, as there is with all jobs on the boat. So the old PEX piping, I've got a mix of PEX piping and the old, I think it's H2O fittings, and we have to clean that out in the bottom of the boat, and it goes into this area. The straps, these straps are a little bit too long. There's another one here, and they're aluminium. It comes with stainless steel straps, so I'll have to shorten those, but it will fit just basically in where the old one comes out, and just a few modifications to the pipe work. Hopefully we'll have that in this evening, and maybe sort some of this cabling out, which seems to be in a bit of a mess around here. Calorifier in place, got the straps on it, had to make new straps, and I've got piping in for the hot water input and output. I still haven't hooked up the engine heating. That'll be for another day because I'm waiting for some parts, but it fits pretty well, nice and tight. It's that time of year again, need to put the sails on. So we're doing the Jenny at the moment. Just been up for lunch and left it there. I'm just about to hoist that and get it all hooked up. and then I'll have to go up the mast and do some maintenance on the main, on the furler, before we can put that up. But other than that, we're ready to kind of get going, apart from a few dental appointments and things. So we're leaving the poor car behind, aren't we? It's a bit sad.
No wheels anymore?
No wheels. We've got rid of our car. We sold it to WeBuyAnyCar.com
For a quick sale.
for a quick sale, and so we're wheelless now. So we're going to go get the bus home. What do you think about that then? Bit sad, isn't it?
Bit sad, yeah.
Oh well, never mind. Off to the bus. The rope store on the boat gets a bit of a refresh. Well, we're getting ready for Coronation Day. Got all our flaggies out. Still got the signal flags to come up. We've got the big ones out. Well, it's lovely to get out of the harbour and actually moving. Yes, even with a black eye. I think we should have life jackets on though. We'll do that shortly. We're just going to go down the river, around the corner and have a look. Maybe have a little sail. That was our plan.
Okay, so we went for a sail yesterday and we're going to go to Corsan Bay. So we were going to drop the anchor and we got about 20 metres out when the windlass decided it wasn't playing anymore.
So this is me down in the bow locker, sheltering from the wind, fixing the anchor windlass. What I discovered in my investigation was that the switches on the deck switches were not working. There are little buttons that go on the deck, and I think I'll show you one here, and neither of them were working. I think it was just the first flush of water that came over the bow, got down into the wiring, and that was it. They weren't working anymore. So I've got a couple of these on order, but while I'm down there I'm fixing the other wiring that's down there. Some of it's been put together with just crimp connectors, and they're horrible because they don't have any waterproof capability, and the bow locker's taking seas all the time. Well, I enjoyed my afternoon in the bow locker. So why have I got our chain up and down in 10-metre lengths off the bow here? Well, I didn't want it in the bow locker because I couldn't get in then, so I've basically rigged it so I've dropped 10-metre lengths down just to miss the seabed and tied them onto the pulpit. And it's a neat way of getting your bow locker emptied without having to take it on shore or onto the pontoons, where it's a bit difficult to get it onto the pontoons with you alongside like this.
So we've escaped for the second time and bimbling around the coast eastward. I don't know if we're going to go to Salcombe, we haven't decided yet. There might be a bay before then. It's gorgeous out here, not much wind though. 7 knots, and we're doing all of 3.6. Wow, that's over the ground. Somebody hasn't put the thing in the hole.
The log in the hole, yeah, we've left it out there because it collects weed when we're in harbour. So we might put that in the next day or so. We'll see how we go. But at the moment, we're just enjoying being out sailing, aren't we?
Yeah, we're bimbling along at a steady rate of knots. Yeah, it's nice.
Next time, we're back at school, playing with fire and learning how to survive the ultimate disasters at sea. Hi, hope you enjoyed diving into our boat jobs with us and that our adventures continue to interest you.
So if you're dreaming about having yachting adventures, you found the right crew. So why not subscribe for free and step aboard?
We're happy to guide you, answer questions and hopefully turn your dreams into the voyage of a lifetime.
Come navigate a course with us, from dreaming about it to being on the wide blue ocean.
So until next time, fair winds, smooth sailing and following seas. Bye.
What's tickling my flaming leg?
Diving into our boated... Hi.
You're on camera then.
That was all on camera, so I've got lots
Are
of...
you joking? Oh, we need to do that again then. We're getting worse at this.
Yeah, we're getting worse.